All right, we are live. First time live, All Things Mets podcast. First time live, I should say, on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the same time. And of course, you can catch the show after by subscribing down below. Jack, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. These Mets, man, I have never been this excited about a team. So let's just get right into it, man. How about that comeback?
Yeah, that comeback, 7-1, ninth inning. And you really you saw what this team was made of, I think. And, there's a lot of things that we could talk about that went into that ninth inning. A lot of people say when Lindor hit that home run, 7-3. For me, it was really after that when Alonso got that double. And I was like, okay, we're stringing hits together all of a sudden. And, Marte beat out the throw to start the inning. So it was really fun. I mean, I was screaming at the TV when JD Davis ripped that double. I was like, "Oh man, here we go, baby!" But
Yeah,
it
JD
was a good
Davis hitting a
time.
fastball. Hitting a
Oh yeah,
fastball for the first time.
yeah, it's for real, for real. It
um,
was just unbelievable. And then Marte, I thought, I mean, if we were playing in August, like we're gonna go back to Philly later this year, that ball would have been a home run. So it was cool to see, double. It was still a bomb either way, and got the Mets to lead. So that was pretty unbelievable.
yeah. Yeah, I actually I have to admit, I only watched the ninth inning. When I was doing something earlier the day and I saw the Mets were down 7-0, and I was like, oh, the one thing I hate or I hate more than the Mets losing are the Phillies winning. So I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. But when I saw Lindor hit the 2-run home run, I was like, let's see what happens. And I ended up watching that ninth inning. And I gotta say, JD Davis, when he ripped that double, Nimmo hitting that curveball up the middle, I think that Knable looked pretty shell shocked after he started giving up some runs.
For sure.
Um, and I mean, Knable's had some injury history in the past, and I don't know. Like he rolled his ankle. You never know if that had anything to do with it either. But either way, I'll take the dub. And I think we have to say Diaz, he locked it down to the ninth. He has been so far such a asset to that Mets bullpen at the back end.
Yeah, when he's on, wow, just blow away stuff. Kind of like it reminds me of like Craig Kimbrell a little bit. Just tear you apart and make you look silly. So I really enjoy what I see out of Edwin Diaz. He might even hit my most impressive player mark for the month, which we'll do in a minute here. Just tease for a segment later. But I think that Edwin Diaz looks sharp. That bullpen outside of Trevor May has looked pretty good. Trevor Williams, same kind of thing. But Trevor Williams is the kind of guy that, you throw in those games when it's, you're down by 5 runs or whatever it might be.
Right.
Like they threw him in on Wednesday. And, we'll see. Trevor May going to be out for 4 weeks, and that's not something I think he's going to come back anytime soon. I think it's going to be a couple months. We might not see Trevor May till the All-Star break.
Yeah, I was going to say August, honestly. I mean, you can't be too careful with these injuries. And even though Trevor May is supposed to be a big part of this bullpen, we need a healthy Trevor May to be a big part of this bullpen. And I think that so far we all know what Trevor May can do when he is healthy, and he has not been that guy this year so far. So get well soon, Trevor May. We're excited to see you back in a Mets uniform. Hopefully, All Star break August, just for the final push of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what did you see? Now they only played one game in Philadelphia. Rained out yesterday. Most likely going to be rained out for the 4 p.m. p.m. game today. It'll be interesting to see if they schedule a doubleheader. I think they might do two doubleheaders in that series in August, just because
Oof.
Philadelphia has to go to Seattle this week, and so they have to travel to Seattle, I believe, on Monday. They might have an off day in between. But they definitely have a series coming up with the Mariners over in Seattle. So it'll be really interesting to see if they schedule like a day-night doubleheader tomorrow. If this game does get rained out, which 90% likely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree there. I think this rain's not going to stop. So, unfortunately, I'd like to watch the Mets, pummel the Phillies one more time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Two more times because we will get a game on Sunday. I hope at least at 1:30. So interesting start times for the Phillies games. I don't know if you've noticed, but they start at like 6:45. Next night is 7:05. Today was 4, which 4 is normal, but then
Yeah,
1:35 tomorrow. Like, just have a
weird.
damn consistent time. Like, how hard is it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually did notice that. I was like, I actually thought the game was 7-10 tonight until I looked this morning. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
no, their games aren't at 7:10. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a 6:45 start time, but it's just not something I'm accustomed to. Like I always just
no,
look for the clock, make sure it hits 7, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to roll. And then it's like, oh, 15 minutes in already.
yep. But I
So
will say I do like the fact that they end around 10 o'clock now instead of after 10, which is pretty nice.
right, right.
Yeah.
So real quick on Taiwan Walker, did not look great. Possibly, the most inconsistent, which is not a word I really want to use like too fondly. Like, I think Taiwan is good, but right now it's kind of been ups and downs. Injuries, blowing it up in the past, that past game. So what are your thoughts, Walker?
Well, I think Walker just hasn't quite gotten it going yet. I mean, he didn't have a real spring training. He got
Yeah,
hurt. He had that knee surgery, and then he threw those 2 innings against the Phillies. Looked great. Came out for what was it, shoulder discomfort, something like that.
right.
And he hit the IL. Then he came back, pitched. Actually, was at the game. He came back and pitched pretty well. But I think it's hard. He's only faced the Phillies this year, so the Phillies have gotten a good look at him at this point, and if he's not 100%, they're just going to tee off against him. I mean, that's what this Phillies team was built to be. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Tyjon Walker. I'd like to see him face somebody else other than the Philadelphia Phillies.
Right. Well, I'd like to see the Mets face someone else besides the Philadelphia Phillies as well.
Yeah, me
So
too. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little sick of it. I'm a little sick of it.
But I will
So
say,
let's
Josh,
yeah, go ahead.
um,
Go ahead.
how do you feel about? I mean, I like the fact that we're getting these Phillies games out of the way now, especially when we're winning. It's nice that we're not gonna, it's not gonna be like a 2007 collapse where we face the Phillies a bunch in September and they have ground them. They can make up a ton of ground. But if we,
Yeah,
if
no
we,
worries. We have the Braves and Marlins to do that for us. So,
right.
but no, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, I think if we're winning against this Phillies team, I'd rather do it earlier in the season than wait for them to get reinforcements at the trade deadline and come at us hard in August and September. What are your thoughts?
I mean, who are they going to trade for it? The Phillies have a lot of holes, in my opinion. And I don't, that bullpen looks so much better on paper, but I don't actually think it's going to be what it's saying on paper. So, Familia hands, just, I don't think that they're built for postseason long term success.
No.
And they might get to the postseason. Maybe the Braves collapse, but I genuinely believe it's the Braves and Mets to lose at this point.
Yeah.
Phillies might get that extra wild card spot, but look out for those Marlins. Hey, man, they can pitch. If their offense can just like find a way to, keep them close, that pitching is going to win some games for you. So it'll be fun, and it'll be a different change of pace going down to Miami when we eventually do, or when they come up here, even because it's just good pitching right now, and you don't know what those offensive bats can do. And frankly, when the Mets bats get cold, I feel like they all still get cold. I feel like that's still a thing we see in this season so far, which is not a terrible thing, but it is something to be wary about going forward.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, Nola was on in that game
Yeah.
on Thursday night, but I still think that the Mets offense was able to scrape one run across. I feel like they could do much better than that, even against a pitcher like Nola. And I was happy to see the Phillies bullpen collapse in ways we've seen the Mets do time and time again. So um, I don't know. I'm optimistic going forward.
So let's talk about the Braves. First series that they did not win, yet they did not lose.
Right.
What were your takeaways from the series? That doubleheader day was great on Tuesday afternoon. I thought that was a great day to watch some Mets baseball. And Wednesday they kind of threw the ball around a little bit. Monday night they just had some bad pitching.
Yeah.
But it looks like hey, taking 2 out of 4 from the World Series defending World Series champions. I'm all right with that.
I'm also all right with it. I actually heard Buck say that they never want to expect a loss, but they were kind of expecting a loss when they were playing 3 games within 24 hours and had already won the first 2. I mean, it's hard to win that third game, especially when McGill pitched pretty well, but Ottavino throwing 3 days in a row. I mean that I know some relievers can do that, but I don't know at this point in Ottavino's career that he can really go out there and shove for 3 straight days. And
Yeah.
he just didn't look sharp. I
I
don't
think
know.
I think that goes to like a bigger conversation about relievers and how they genuinely feel. And Trevor May talked about how, every reliever comes out with soreness and has things in their, their arm that they're feeling. And it's just, a matter of working through it. Maybe I don't feel good in warmups, but I get in the game and I'm fine, or vice versa. And
Right.
so, and then you don't know until you actually feel something, snap or budge or whatever it might be. So, and Ottavino said after the game that he can throw 3 days in a row. He likes doing it. He doesn't mind doing it. It just didn't work out in his favor. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be interesting to see how Buck and Jeremy Hefner use this bullpen going forward, especially without Trevor May. I think Drew
Yeah.
Smith, he's about to step up even into a bigger role than he might have known that he was going to this season.
Sorry,
And
who'd you say?
Drew Smith.
Oh, agreed.
Yes, Drew Smith. So I think him, Joey Rodriguez, I think is going to get more chances, not just to get lefties out. And I think it's going to be interesting what they do with their long man. Like, is Trevor Williams really that guy? Sean Reed Foley's probably gone for the next season.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see. I like what I see out of Yohan Lopez and Donis Medina as well. So I like the Mets pitching depth for sure.
I will say I heard on it was one of the John Boy Media podcasts. They were talking about I think it was Shea Station. They think that Yohan Lopez's season is probably over, because how can you bring a guy to the majors just to have him suspended and not be able to call up somebody else because he's suspended for 3 days? So we might not see Yohan Lopez for quite some time, but Adonis Medina has so far been really effective when he's been called on by the Mets. So maybe give him a leash and see what he can do. I don't know. His stuff looks pretty good. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, he's only thrown 3 2/3 innings, 0.273 WHIP, strikeout per nine's at 9.8. So he does have 4 strikeouts in those 3 2/3.
He does look pretty good, in my opinion. I need a bigger sample size before I'm like, oh yeah, no, keep this guy as a regular.
So
Totally.
Trevor Williams, 8.59 ERA, 7 1/3 pitched, 2.4 WHIP. Not looking good for Mr. Trevor Williams.
I've never been a Trevor Williams guy. Who'd they trade for him?
They got him in the Baez deal.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a shoe-in. Like, oh, here you go.
So I didn't really like that. But we'll see. We'll see going forward.
Lugo looks good. Lugo looks
does look
really good.
And
talk about arm trouble. I think that guy knows more about it than anyone. So let's dive into our most impressive player, because we can talk about this for a little bit. So going into the pod, you and I both discussed it, because obviously we're going to discuss it before we name the same player. But let's talk about that player, Mr. Jeff McNeil, McHits, as they might call him.
Jeff McHits. He definitely so far. I mean, Josh knows, I was a big advocate on trading McNeil. I mean, I didn't like what I saw last year. His slamming of the bat, his slamming of the helmet every time he struck out, he just looked lost at the plate at times. And I just think that with Steve Cohen as the owner and bringing in guys like Alderson and who's their GM? I'm totally blanking.
Billy Epler.
Yeah, Billy Epler. They're trying to really make a organizational culture change. And I think Jeff McNeil, I think that's a big reason why they don't re-sign Conforto. I think that's a big reason why they tried to trade McNeil. And I think it's a big reason why they cut Cano, because they're trying to build this culture. And I think that somebody must have talked to McNeil and said, hey, Jeff, we're hits, home runs are great, but we're really trying to win. And you need to just be the best player you can be and not try to be this big slugger. Because far this year, he has just been the Jeff McNeil of old. I mean, he's batting 348 so far. Hold on. Let me give me 1 second. 891 OPS, only 1 home run. But again, I don't care if he hits 5 home runs. If he bats 330 and wins a batting title, that's fine by me. He just keeps the line moving and is a pesky at bat. And I
Agreed.
like that the Mets have moved him from 8th to 6th to 5th to 3rd. I mean, he's somebody who can move around. He's versatile. I think he's a valuable player on a winning team.
Batting 4th right now in Major League Baseball with that regarding average. He's behind Machado, Hosmer, and Benintendi. So 4th in Major Leagues for batting average for Jeff McNeil. And, I love it. I agree. Jeff McNeil, killing it. And he does have the highest OPS of any Mets player on the roster right now. He is just hitting ground ball singles through that shift. I mean, come on, man. Like, you don't see what's going on. You're still shifting on Jeff McNeil, really? I don't get that. I don't get that. I think managers get too caught up in the analytics of things, and that's a whole nother discussion. But in reality, like, if you watch this guy, if you've watched him so far this season, done your scouting reports, do the due diligence, how do you not see that he's grounding out of the shift? Like, you know what I mean? He's avoiding the shift at all costs this season. I don't get how they just don't see that. So let me bring it full circle to my favorite player so far this season, besides Mr. Jeff McNeil, and that is Mad Max Scherzer, baby. I love Mr. Mad Max Scherzer. He is crushing it. 4-0, 2.61 ERA, 31 innings pitched, and 0.806 WHIP. Strikeouts per 9 are 12.2, higher than last season so far. And last season was a good year for Mad Max. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't you pick Trevor McGill? Well, I think Mad Max brings that demeanor and that winning attitude and that dominant attitude to that Mets rotation. So I think it's big, especially without having DeGrom there. I think right now, while McGill means a lot because you didn't expect this out of him, Mad Max, you were expecting it, and he's so far performing at that level.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I also think he brings some leadership to the clubhouse. And the fact that he was, I don't know if you saw him chirping and get tossed in a game he wasn't even pitching. I mean, he's a guy who just wants to win, and he doesn't care if he gets tossed for it. He will chirp, and I just think his competitive nature just really, really has showed so far and rubbed off on a lot of good players on this team. And the fact that him and Bassett and Carrasco will sit around with McGill and some of these younger guys and go over their starts, I think is so valuable, especially when, Scherzer, as great as he is, we only have him for a couple years. So I think if we can just soak in as much knowledge as we can get from him, going forward, it's going to really benefit this Mets team for years to come. What do you think, Josh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And I think it's going to just add some toughness and grit to this Mets rotation. Tyler McGill is interesting, but he hasn't, he's been on success right now. I want to see, and not that I want to see it, but I want to see what adversity looks like for Tyler McGill besides just in a game. You know what I mean? Like, let's say he has a rough start or a rough couple starts. How does he bounce back from that? That's where I think the value of having Bassett and Scherzer and eventually DeGrom and Carrasco around can really make a difference for these young pitchers. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. So what haven't you liked so far? Let's get into that. Not maybe our least impressive player, but just least impressive instance, things like that.
So I was actually reading a couple of things last night about the Mets, and I guess from what the stats have been saying, they're hitting a lot of ground balls. They're not really slugging all that much. As we've known years past, the teams who hit the most home runs tend to go to the playoffs. I think that'll come, but I'm worried because at this point, not worried, but at this point, it looks like Pete is really their only home run threat. And as great as Pete is, and Pete could hit 45 bombs this year, you never know. But I think having another threat in that lineup would go wonders to making this lineup more lethal. Granted, they've already done so much so far and have proved so much that they make contact, they get clutch hits. We still really haven't seen Starling Marte get going. I mean, maybe he was 3 for 5 on Thursday. Maybe he starts to get going, but he hit 14 home runs last year. That he's not a big power threat.
No, never really has been.
So I think if I'm the Mets, I know it's
Excuse me.
bless you. I know it's a while till the trade deadline, but I know they're probably thinking about these things. But I think bullpen arm and maybe a power bat might be in the market for going forward. What do you think,
Whoa,
Josh?
talking trade deadline early May. Woo!
I don't know about that, man.
Hey, they're already thinking about it.
I mean,
Let's be real though. I would love a backup actual outfielder. Like, I mean, Travis Jankowski's great, but maybe, like you said, that bench player can be a backup outfielder. A Nelson Cruz. Maybe the Red Sox get bad and they're like, "Yeah, we'll trade JD Martinez." Okay, cool.
Right.
Come play.
but
Who knows?
Marte's been tough. His OPS is under 700. His OPS plus is 107. I
I
believe.
believe league average is still 100, but in fairness, the offense across this league has been down. No
Right.
matter which way you look at it, it really has been. And I don't know. I think it's playing to the Mets' advantage right now with the small ball techniques. I clearly think that they don't view it as we need to hit home runs
Yeah.
or we need to hit doubles. It is just next man up, hit,
Keep the line moving.
singles. Hey, I mean, whatever works, man. You're winning ball games right now. I don't know if you need to have a guy hit 40 home runs. We said before this season, my prediction, Pete Alonso, over under 40. I said under. And I think,
At the way it's looking, he's got 5. So does Lindor.
we'll see.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you need, again, I don't think you need Pete Alonso to hit 40 plus home runs in order for it to be a first place in this division.
No, I totally agree there. And they're not striking out as much either, which is definitely a positive. I mean, they make contact a bunch. And I want to ask, do you know if anybody's hit 10 yet?
In the majors. Let me
Yeah.
look that up real quick. I
'Cause I
think
really-
someone had 8 the other day.
Rizzo
There's a couple
had
that.
8.
All right, so Rizzo has 8. Actually, Rizzo has 9. Judge has 9. CJ Crone has 9, and Byron Buxton.
Buxton has 9. Byron Buxton's just amazing.
Jesus. Yeah.
Uh,
But that's crazy. That a month in the season, nobody's got double digits home runs yet.
In fairness, the ball doesn't fly in April. A lot of these games are in northeast, northwest, northern ballparks that are colder.
Right.
But there's clearly a baseball issue, and we could talk about this for hours. Trevor Plouffe said the other day, there's been making baseballs for hundreds of years. How do they not have a way to make one consistent baseball? And that's on to be honest, that's on the manufacturer and that's on Major League Baseball themselves. That's on Rawlings. They make the baseballs. I mean, come on. And there can't be a supply chain issue. Like there just can't be. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And then, Major League Baseball, Chris Bassett said it himself. They just don't care. So We'll see. But hey, they've switched balls mid-season. So I won't be surprised if they do it again if this becomes an issue. So Jack had a chance to go out to Citi Field recently.
I did.
And, I know you didn't get there early, kind of right around game time. Did you see anything different this year that you wanted to check out or did check out? What were your thoughts on the Tom Seaver statue? Did you see that? Give me a little insight to your Citi Field trip.
Well, it took us a couple hours to get there. So we didn't get there until about 6:55. So I just ran past the statue. I definitely took a second to admire, but I had to get past my seats because I wanted to see first pitch. Unfortunately, it was the Mets game that that they lost against the Phillies in the last series.
Right.
And it was the day after the no-hitter. So I'm telling you, it was wall-to-wall packed. The place was bumping. I mean, every time the Mets had runners on, the whole place was shaking. It's actually unlike any Mets experience I've had so far. Because in the past 10 years, I mean, other than 2015, the Mets really have not been like a dominant baseball team. And it just felt different this year than in years past. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Josh? What do you think?
I went on a Saturday day game. It was an interesting crowd, to say the least. So I think, your Saturday, I think you went Saturday night or Friday night?
Saturday night.
Yeah. So Saturday night baseball, Queens, catch me there every time. I would love to be there. So I'm not surprised about the atmosphere. There were definitely some newer things. I talked about this when I think, I did my own podcast when you were on vacation about how they have different amenities now, and there's a lot of different food places to try and things like that. So I'm looking forward to getting back there again. I just bought tickets on a whim to go see the Mariners on next Saturday. So I'm going to be chirping who's ever in left field because that's where my seats are. So Jesse Winker, if you're listening, I'm coming for you. And
I hope it's Kellenick.
I just mean I'm just going to be in your ear the whole time, Jesse. No, no shame, no shame. And Kellenick too, whatever. Hey, Jared. No, don't you know?
Hey, he had a pinch run home run last night.
Oh my God, he needs to start hitting for those Mariners. I feel bad for him a little bit.
No,
you don't want success for Kellenick at all.
Not that I don't want success for Kellenick, but man, we've just been dragged through the mud here when it comes to this trade because God, Cano was so bad and then did steroids again, and then we cut him. At least Diaz has been a good consolation prize, but I really don't want to trade like a top 5 outfielder, like potential top 5 outfielder for a closer. I don't know. The value's just not the same.
Hey. If he's shutting down big games for you, come on, man. You never know.
I get it.
We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gotten there. We haven't gotten to those postseason games. I'm interested to see Sugar, dialing it up to 101 every fastball. It'd be sick.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a big Sugar Diaz fan. I want them to extend him after this year. But I don't know. That trade still haunts me.
Yeah, we'll see. And then Paul Sewald been a great reliever so far for the Mariners.
Don't even say Chris flexing to me.
He's flexing his muscles.
He's killing it for the Mariners, and it's like, of course.
He's Kellenick for the Mariners.
Yeah, shut up.
Do you have a trivia question for me today?
I thought it was your week.
Oh, I just figured, you try to end my reign.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I thought it was your week.
So, no, we'll get it. So real quick, the other thing is I might be going to see the Mariners the following weekend. So it's just a bunch of Seattle baseball for me this month. I don't know what's up with that, but we'll see. Wow, there's a lot of stupid trivia on these websites. Okay. Who is let's see. You already know that one. That's easy.
We'll see. You stumped me the past couple times.
You won't get that. I did that one for you. No, you won't know the 86. Wait, you think you would know 86 trivia?
Let's hear it.
All right. So the first two Mets batters in the 10th inning of a Game 6 in the 1986 World Series were retired by Red Sox pitcher and former Met Calvin Schiraldi. However, consecutive singles by Gary Carter, Kevin Mitchell, and Ray Knight scored 1 run for the Mets. Then it was Mookie Wilson's turn to bat. We know how the game ended, but how did the tying run score?
Well, wait, hold up. The tying run, Ray Knight hit the ball, and that's how the tying run scored, correct? No?
Nope. So Ray Knight was on base, but he wasn't the lead runner to start that at bat.
Oh. Yeah, I have no idea then.
So it was a wild pitch.
Oh, was it a wild pitch?
A wild pitch that scored
to tie the game. Oh, look at that.
Yep, the Boston pitcher was replaced by Bob Stanley, who battled with Wilson. Wilson fouled off several pitches before Stanley threw one low and inside, which forced the Wilson to jump out of the way. Ball went right past the catcher and was scored as a wild pitch, allowing the tying run to score from third base.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And then
look at that.
A couple pitches later, Wilson hit the ball up along the bag, and the rest is history. So,
wait, what happened? I never heard about this.
Yeah. If you watch Fever Pitch, you'll hear Jimmy Fallon go, Stanley screwed him. He didn't cover first, which is kind of true. He didn't cover first to get back up Buckner, and Buckner looked like he had to kind of run to first. That's why it went.
And Mookie wasn't slow. Mookie wasn't slow.
No, he was not. So cool. Wow, we're gonna hit the 30-minute mark right perfectly here in about 28 seconds. Any closing thoughts for the week ahead of Mets baseball, my friends?
I'm just looking forward to more Mets dubs and Scherzer. Hopefully Scherzer can get out there today.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And they'll probably push him out there tomorrow, if not. But we'll see how the rotation kind of turns around. Definitely screws up. I think I was going to see Peterson or Carrasco on Saturday. I don't think that's the case anymore. So
Hey,
we'll see.
McGill.
Tyler, shout out to his mom. What a Twitter follow.
Yes, seriously.
For sure. All right, man. Well, that ends this episode. We'll catch you next week at some point. All right.
All right.
Peace.